Welcome to this latest festive episode of the Informing Choices mini-pod. Our traditions and festivals are important cultural features of our society, and like other aspects of life, society and business, they change and evolve over time. So what might Christmas 2040 look like, and how might we celebrate it? Today, I'm delighted to welcome back to the podcast Sylvia Gallusser for this festive project. Sylvia, firstly, a Merry Christmas to you. And tell me, how might Christmas change by 2040, do you think?
Well, an amazing question. Thank you so much for having me, Steve. I'm really glad to talk about that topic. And yeah, depending on everyone's tradition, it's not necessarily Christmas, but we wanted to focus on Christmas today. And I think that's quite interesting because we live in a time where sometimes spirituality is questioned. And so it's really interesting to focus on that, centenary, like 2 millennaries long celebration. So first of all, I would say it's interesting to notice, how this holiday season correlates with futures thinking, if I may, because as futurists, it's interesting to notice what concepts within Christmas really correlates with what we do in futures thinking. So I was thinking, for example, the Advent time. Advent, this is this time when you wait and prepare for Christmas Eve, and in symbolizes, Christ's nativity. So we do a lot of rituals around this. For example, practices associated with Advent includes keeping an Advent calendar, lighting an Advent wreath, visiting a Christmas market, erecting a Christmas tree, and so on. But all these activities are really designed to help you to wait while looking forward. And I have another one, which also I was excited to rediscover in a way. It's the Ghost of Christmas Future, from Charles Dickens' book, Christmas Carol. So like the future itself, this ghost of Christmas yet to come is unknown, it's mysterious and silent. And what's interesting to notice is that the spirit shows Scrooge that his future is not set in stone or written on his gravestone, but it can be changed. And by changing his action on the present, he can change that future. So this really resonates with the futures thinking approach, which is not about predicting one future or being deterministic about it, but on the opposite, on preparing for the future and taking action.
That's lovely. I really love that. I've never thought of that link between Dickens and the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come and foresight and futurist studies. That's brilliant. Love that.
Thank you. And actually, so going back to your question, how we think that Christmas could change in the future, well, traditions and celebrations are impacted by the changes we can identify, be it about the future of the home, which I've actually been studying quite a lot this past 2 years, given what changed in the home, the future of family and social interactions as well, the future of consumption and retail, the future of spirituality at large. So as I imagine what our future holiday celebrations could look like with this focus on Christmas in particular, I had fun actually envisioning 4 alternate scenarios. And if you want, I can drive you through it.
Yeah, please do. Love to hear them.
So the first one would be more of an outsourced Christmas. It's closer to a growth scenario if we compare with the 4 alternate scenario. And it's about outsourcing Christmas to have it automated and optimized. You can imagine Amazon Santa makes the perfect gift choice for you. It's based on our personal data, and it helps us pick out the best presents for our loved ones. On Christmas Eve, you maybe have drones coming down your chimney as they deliver a present directly next to your tree with maybe an articulated Santa's arm, or you keep some aspect, in the tradition in this. But technology is mainly a facilitator. Our home assistants, they deliver a perfect Christmas dinner, they order for you, they prepare for you maybe, and even our Christmas tree is easy to maintain. Thanks to IoT, we can remotely adjust the heating, the watering, the air quality to save needles from falling. So we still have, nature Christmas tree, but really cared for thanks to technology. And of course, it includes programmable Christmas decoration. So that would be my first scenario. The second one, I call it escape Christmas. It's closer to a decline scenario, a decline in the importance of cultural and religious tradition. In that scenario, we rely on a frictionless Christmas app maybe on our phone, on our future device, that help us manage our guest list, provide easy food options, and organize all the logistics so that we don't have to mentally burden ourselves as the holiday season approaches, which is usually a big component of the tradition. So we still enjoy Christmas, but it has crumbled mostly into a big entertainment and commercial celebration, mainly.
Yeah.
We prefer to meet with friends, maybe than family. We watch an immersive VR show, or maybe Metaverse, or the new name of Metaverse, or the Beyond Metaverse fireworks. And we celebrate in extended reality, with half of the guests in person and maybe half of them in their own settings. So it's a big mix, which goes beyond the traditional local celebration. And sometimes maybe we have nostalgia, and thanks to all this setting, we can replay Christmas of the past show, something like that. But mainly what we notice in that scenario, it's the family, human and social and spiritual component is eroding. And as a third scenario, and I'm really glad with how to name it. I named it Snowbound Christmas in reference, maybe, to the poem called Snowbound, which is like a really related to Christmas poem. So this tradition-bound Christmas is more of a constrained scenario. You can imagine maybe the climate change crisis will translate in many winter storms, potentially power outages in areas with inadequate infrastructure. Mm-hmm. But here, Christmas will still be Christmas. So the holiday spirit will remain. We will still meet in person, probably, because we need human connections and contact and interaction, real life interaction. I like to focus on that scenario because there's a technology-driven world in that future, but Christmas has become one of the few areas in which we still yearn, for this real-life interaction with other human beings. And what we at Silicon Humanism call tech-free bubbles is a big part of my thinking, that we will live in a technology-driven world, but there will have still this no-tech lens or this need for human interactions. So in that scenario, we still play board games. We still eat and drink too much altogether. And it's even perhaps the only day in the year where we still eat meat, and we still fight and we still hug each other for real, because that will remain, I'm sure. And the last one, I call it choose your own Christmas. It's mainly the on-demand Christmas. It's closer maybe to a transformation scenario. We go back to the 4 alternate future methodology. So we can select all the components on demand. The theme can be diverse and transcultural. We click on a button and our smart home, our smart walls and windows and appliance and our smart tree adapt to maybe Christmas in Russia or Christmas in Mexico or anywhere on Earth or beyond. We can also switch to maybe a fantasy theme or medieval theme or celebratory Christmas dinner-like celebration. And thanks to maybe what will come up at the Internet of Senses, so not just a visual internet, but really where you can smell, where you can taste and so on. We can now digitally touch, smell, and taste things from all over the world. Our guests can be maybe members of our family by choice, friends, colleagues, neighbors, strangers, and even maybe deceased ancestors, whose spirits we bring back to life once a year for this very special night. We enjoy inventive 3D printed food. Christmas is not so much of a home-based celebration anymore. Maybe we transpose Christmas to inspiring places. We rejoice on an island in the sun. We dine amongst the stars at Disney's latest cool restaurants, Space 220 or maybe and higher numbers in then, and maybe in an underwater restaurant as well, because that's also an exploration right now as to how we can build hotels and restaurants under the sea. And maybe we gather in an anti-gravity shuttle, or we celebrate on board a Virgin Galactic space station. Who knows? What would be your favorite, Steve?
Wow, I mean that's absolutely extraordinary, Silver, and I do rather fancy a trip to a space station for Christmas. And to me, what the thing that ties all those scenarios together is the human element, so that the technology is an enabler for us to continue to retain whatever human connections we choose to retain across such an important period of the calendar. Sylvia, thank you so much for those scenarios. Absolutely wonderful. And thank you everyone for listening. You can learn more about Sylvia and her work by connecting via the links in the podcast description. In the meantime, do let your friends and colleagues know about the Informing Choices mini pod. And a Merry Christmas to you all, and a Merry Christmas to you, Sylvia. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Happy holidays, everyone.